Welcome to today's Explainer. So, today we're diving into something incredibly personal. It's a recently digitized diary belonging to a 14-year-old boy named Rinku. Back in 2022, he was an 8th grader just trying to navigate the super strict, highly demanding world of a Rostria military school. It's a completely raw, unfiltered look at what it's like growing up far away from home and exactly what a young mind does to cope with that kind of intense isolation. Now, check out this quote. It instantly sets the stage for us. Rinku doesn't just look at this notebook as a bunch of blank pages to jot down what he did that day. No, for him, it's a trusted, secret confidant. Being totally separated from his family and dropped into this super rigorous environment, he literally writes that he's going to tell it the matters of his heart. He even named the journal Love, just to show how much of a close companion it really was to him. Seeing his actual handwriting really grounds the whole thing, doesn't it? It drops us right into the very real, raw experience of this 8th grader. And what's really amazing about the front page is that he actually left a little warning. He asks whoever might end up reading it to please not judge his messy writing or his spelling mistakes. It's just such a vulnerable, authentic touch that instantly connects us to the 14-year-old kid behind the words. All right, moving into section 1. Meet Rinku and Love, a 14-year-old's diary. Let's see exactly how this incredible slice-of-life narrative builds from those very first blank pages. Right in the introductory pages, Rinku makes it clear that while he deeply loves his family, his parents, his sisters, he feels incredibly alone at the Rostria military school. He quickly realizes he can't really share his deepest fears or daily struggles with the other boys, so he turns to his journal, writing that paper offers something people usually don't: endless patience, absolutely zero judgment, and no interruptions. Section 2, Leaving Home Behind, July 9th, 2022. Every coming-of-age story has that one big threshold moment, right? Well, for Rinku, this was definitely it. You really see how fast the sensory and emotional overload hits him on that very first day. He starts his morning with these heartbreaking goodbyes to his family and a girl named Sakshi. By the afternoon, a simple treat of cold Pepsi at the bus stand gives him a painful stomachache. Fast forward to 5 p.m., and he's standing in Delhi in the pouring rain, profoundly homesick. Then, to top it all off, he has to navigate the totally confusing adult world of finding the right bank to submit a school draft, just getting bounced around from place to place. Talk about an exhausting first day that really sets the tone for his journey. Which brings us to Section 3, Military School Reality, Extreme Discipline. Let's dive right into the core contrast of our explainer. We're looking at Rinku's tender inner world crashing headfirst into the grueling realities of his new environment. To give you an idea of the extreme discipline expected of these boys, take the night before an inspection by the Add-in Officer, or AO. The boys are forced to stay awake until 1:30 in the morning, scrubbing everything. And the standard? Absolute perfection. We're talking zero dust. The fallout from this is wild. Rinku actually documents that he missed breakfast the next morning because he was still busy cleaning. And by the time he finally finished, the mess hall was totally out of food. But in this environment, that's literally just a normal Monday. Now, we have to impartially observe that the diary meticulously documents some incredibly severe disciplinary actions that were just standard practice at the school. Sleep schedules were brutal. They were often going to bed at midnight or 1 a.m. And Rinku describes this punishment called band down, which is an agonizing physical stress position. In one entry, he talks about being woken up at 3:40 in the morning for roll call. He accidentally laughed when his name was called because he was half asleep. The result? He was forced into the band down position until his hands ached so terribly he had to literally beg a senior to let him stand up. What's fascinating is how neutrally Rinku records these harsh realities. He writes them down as simple matters of fact, which really highlights a strict environment where physical, corporal punishment was just a standard consequence for making a mistake. He writes about a senior hitting another boy with a belt and forcing him to do excessive push-ups over an error. And he writes about it without outrage. It's just a factual, everyday documentation of his daily reality. Moving on to Section 4, Sickness and Solitude, the Physical Toll. Honestly, it probably won't surprise you that the physical toll of this lack of sleep, the high stress, and the rigorous environment inevitably led to health struggles, plunging Rinku into deeply solitary period. The catalyst for all of this was a heavy rainstorm. The classrooms were about 500 meters away from the mess hall. So after sprinting that half a kilometer in an absolute downpour just to get some food, Rinku fell ill. This triggers a very isolated chapter in his diary, where he was admitted to the school's MI, or medical inspection room. 44 kilos. That was Rinku's total weight in kilograms during this ordeal. He documents suffering through a relentless 99 to 100-degree fever that kept him admitted to the MR room for 3 straight days with a severe headache. Just picture lying there alone at just 44 kilos, waiting for hours for the room to open, watching your temperature fluctuate. It's a pretty stark reminder of how vulnerable he truly was in that vast institution. Now for Section 5. Small joys, silver linings. Because, what makes this explainer so captivating, and really, what makes Rinku's story so incredibly human, is how he balances these immense hardships with moments of pure, innocent childhood joy. It's fascinating to look at the stark, dueling worlds he lived in side by side. On one hand, you have the suffering of Ragda, which is slang for grueling punishments, and physical altercations, like getting hit on the head and bleeding during a scuffle. But on the flip side, you have the sheer, unadulterated triumph of winning first place in a school foot race, or the massive celebration of his house winning a football tournament. The highs were absolutely just as intense as the lows. It is profoundly moving how all the strictness of his days just melts away during these small, fleeting moments of happiness. Like on August 11th, his whole world lights up because he gets a parcel from home with sweets and a Rocky from his beloved sister Rachna. Or on August 15th, when he writes with immense pride about marching in the Independence Day Parade. And honestly, my personal favorite detail, his absolute delight at receiving a single unexpected gulab jamun as a festival treat. In a world defined by stress and discipline, that one single sweet meant absolutely everything. Let's head into Section 6, Power of Journaling, a Psychological Tool. I want us to step back for a second and look at the bigger picture. What should we really take away from this remarkable digitized record? Rinku's handwritten entries remind us that journaling is not just about recording dates and facts. For this 14-year-old boy, the pages of love were a vital psychological tool. It was literally his method for processing intense homesickness, physical pain, and hard-earned triumphs when he had absolutely no one else he felt he could safely talk to. The simple act of writing itself was an act of profound resilience. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'd love for you to reflect on Rinku's journey and think back to your own childhood. If paper truly has more patience than people, what was your coping mechanism? How did you process the world when everything just felt totally overwhelming? It's a pretty powerful question to leave you with. Thank you so much for joining me to explore the pages of Rinku's diary. I hope it provided you with a fascinating window into the incredible resilience of youth.